Video reviewing lesson 2 practice problem set. How does it change? There's only 2 questions on this worksheet, so let's look at the first one. How many squares are in step 10? You could see here that I indicated my squares as indicated from the lesson we just did. So we have a 1 by 1, we have a 2 by 2, we have a 3 by 3. And what did I add to the 1 by 1? I added 1. On the Step 2, on the 2 by 2, I added 2. Step 3, I added 3. Therefore, I'm going to follow that same pattern. Come down and do a 10 by 10 and add 10, which gives me 110 in my step 10. Moving on, number 2 asked me to look at the pattern of dots. How many dots will be in step 4? Of each pattern, what I needed to do first is figure out what the sequencing was. So I know here I went from 0 to 4 to 8 to 12, noticing that I'm adding 4 each time. Therefore, step 4, if I add 4 here, would be 16 squares. Moving on to pattern B, I'm going to note that I went from two squares or dots to 3 to 6 to 11. There's an irregular adding, meaning I can't add each time the same amount, nor can I multiply. So what I then did was I looked for squares. So right here, I noticed that in step 1, I have 1 square. And if I move on to step 2, I have a square right here, a 2 by 2. Step 3, a 3 by 3. And I notice I always have these 2, call them arms or legs. And therefore, when I look at step 0, here are the 2 legs without any kind of square up here. So what that indicated to me was if I kept going on with this pattern, step 4, if I just looked at this configuration, I could do it 1 or 2 ways. I know I added 1, added 3, added 5. Well, if I kept going here, added 5, added 7, I'd get to 18, or I can simply go, well, I have a 3 squared here, there my next one would be 4 squared, which is 16, plus 2 more would give me 18 squared. However you did it is fine, I'm just showing you different ways. Moving on, then it asks us to which pattern shows a quadratic. Well, you'll remember in our previous lesson what we noted that there's a relationship between the step number and the number of dots. So I noticed that pattern B is quadratic because the step number is the square plus 2 more. What do I mean by that? Is that going back here, step number 1 squared is 1 plus 2 more. Step 2, 2 squared is 4 plus 2 more. That's how I came up with my explanation. I showed it with a pictorial right there.